Alright guys, what's up? We're back with yet another weekly developer update. And in this video, in this live stream, we're going first and foremost discuss the data processing, because that's a question we often get. What happens to the data that is stored in Moralis and how it's processed, and so on and so forth. We're going to discuss new features. As always, we have new features to talk about, and the plans and what's next on the roadmap. And finally, we're gonna have Q&A. That's important. Also, I think we will be discussing, let's see if we have time, but one of the most important things when people start learning Moralis is to understand the difference between the different offerings. So for example, you have the server, you have Web3 API, you have speedy nodes. And it's a very important thing to understand the reasons why we have the three different offers like we have, like the speedy nodes, the API, and the server, and they all build on top of each other. So maybe we're gonna discuss that as well. But first and foremost, we want to welcome all the developers that are in the chat. Good to see you guys, good to see you. So set reminders for next week already, because we're gonna have this once per week. We have these live streams about development in Moralis, where you can ask questions, and it's all about the fact that we interact with you guys, because we want to know what you're building, how you're building, if you have questions, if you have concerns, you have some feature requests, whatever you want, we're here to build it. So it's good to see all of you guys in the chat. And first and foremost, let's discuss the question about the data processing. This is the drawing from the last video. By the way, you should watch it. If you haven't watched the last video we did on the channel about the human-centric approach and how we're thinking about debugging and community and live streams and things like that, go watch it. But let's start from scratch. So about data, you have to understand that we are a European company that follows GDPR rules. So there is no way for us to sell data or to use the data that is in Moralis for any other purpose than is specified in the data processing agreement. And this is a very simple agreement that basically says you are building the application and we are processing data on your behalf, and that's it. Who owns the data? You own the data. Who is having the connection to the client, to the end user? You have connection to the end client, to the end user. And Moralis is simply a data processor. And this is very well defined in the European data regulation, what a data processor can do and what a data processor cannot do. So, for example, a data processor cannot decide, okay, let's sell all the data, all right? Okay, let's do our own business or something based on the data. A data processor is very restricted and basically has to follow exactly what the agreement says. So it's very important that we highlight that, because we get these questions now and then, you know, what happens to the data? Can you sell the data? This and that. But in the EU, these things are very, very strict and they're very, very regulated. And we are not in the business of data, we are in the business of infrastructure. And infrastructure is all about the fact that we have the tools, we have the databases, we have the APIs, we have everything. And developers that use the APIs, the tools, and so on and so forth, they have full control of the data, they own the data, and we're just a mere processor. This can be compared to kind of what AWS is doing. You know, AWS and the Jeff Bezos, they don't go and they start monetizing the actual data that is stored in the AWS data centers. That would be insane. So this is the same for us. And the way that we are monetizing, which is the next question, which we get a lot as well, that we wanted to bring up on this stream, is how monetization is gonna work. And I think we touched a bit upon this last time. So it's definitely not the data that is monetization. Monetization is pay per use. So if you use requests, if you use the nodes, if you use any of the features, the more you use, the more you pay. But at the same time, I think I have drawn this chart before. This is how it's gonna look like when it comes to the users versus how much they pay. So basically, maybe the, you know, top 1% of the apps, they actually pay something, while the vast majority, I mean, here we're talking about 99% of the apps, because most of the apps, they're in the development stage, they are in prototyping stage, they are still trying to figure out what to build. I mean, for 99%, Moralis is always gonna be free, because they're never gonna reach the limits of the free plan, because we have insane limits for the free plan. You know, for example, when it comes to speedy nodes, you can do 3.6 thousand requests per minute. I mean, you have to be a pretty significant dapp to reach that. So this is what I mean with, yes, it is pay per use. The more you use, the more you pay. But at the same time, for 99% of people, it's free. Because 99% of people don't need to do, for example, in speedy nodes, 3.6 thousand requests per minute. So those are two things that are very important to clarify, and those are the ones that we get questions about now and then. So I hope it clarifies, and let me know in the comment section later on if you want to discuss it more. And from now on, I think I will just refer to this video when we get these questions, but these are very important aspects, of course. So when it comes to data, the developer is the owner of the data. If you build something on Moralis, you own the data. We have no right to that data whatsoever, except for what is in the agreement, data processing agreement, which says that basically we can store it on your behalf. If we have to, for some reason, back up your database, if you want backups, we do backups for you. You tell us what you want. And some of the things are by default. For example, the backup is one example where it is by default. And we basically have access to data in terms of, technical emergency. If we really have to go and do something in the database in order to ensure that the service works, that we can do. But everything that is beyond the simple things we can do in order to make the service work, that's impossible. So yeah, please go and read this. It's a very simple agreement. What we do is that we have very simple agreements. It's not some kind of Facebook huge agreement where you don't even understand what it is, or Google. You try to read their agreement. So that's when it comes to data and the monetization. And let's talk about the most important things, the more important things in terms of the new features and what's going on. Very, very soon, we have the first plugins launching. This is hopefully going to be this week already. First plugins that anyone can integrate into their application on Moralis. This is very important because now we're really opening up Moralis for third-party developers, and now this whole ecosystem is endless. It becomes endless. So one of the first plugins we're gonna build is the exchange plugin. This basically means that if you have users and you want to sync their exchange balances, it's very easy for you to use Moralis to go and fetch their Coinbase balance, Kraken balance, Binance balance. It's important, for example, in trading use cases. If you do some kind of trading app, or if you do some kind of tax app, let's say you have tax use case, maybe you have some use case where you want to give some people access to some content, to some information, depending on which assets they have, and you want to both see what they have on exchange and what they have on their wallets. So access is another one, and these use cases with access are becoming way more popular now. I'm seeing more and more of these ideas people have that, all right, let's build a chat app that is only accessible if you have enough tokens of a specific kind. These things where you use crypto for community, that's insane. That's going to be very, very huge. So this is one of the plugins that is coming. Another plugin that is coming soon is DeFi. I told you last time, it's, for example, if you want to build a DEX, you can easily use 1inch API and write 1inch.swap in your cloud function, and then you can swap any asset to any other asset, and that's it. And so these are the most important early plugins that are coming out, and we're releasing this whole SDK for building plugins. And this is probably, I hope, that we will have the first versions of the plugins this week already. Other than that, there are a lot of developments when it comes to debugging. It's a huge area for us. Why? Because we still have some work to do. If you make a mistake in your cloud function and you try to decode the actual error in the logs, it might be a bit challenging still. So we work a lot on making this easier, that whenever you have some kind of cloud function error, let's say you make some syntax error, or let's say you forget some semicolon, or you call a variable that is not existing. Right now, it may be a bit difficult to understand the error in the logs, but this is coming very, very soon. This is gonna be in the CLI. So if you use your command line for cloud functions, we're gonna add very robust error checking in the command line. So that when you try to upload the cloud function with errors, it's gonna tell you right there in the command line. So this is gonna be way better. What else we're working on? It's a lot of things we're working on. We're adding new blockchains. We think that the next one is gonna be Avalanche. And the integrations are done to the big extent. We're just working with Avalanche project themselves to see what we can do together. Maybe we can do some hackathon. Maybe we can do something else where we can shed the light on this tech. Because when we launch, for example, Avax, we want to do it with a bang. Okay, we don't just want to launch it quietly and then nothing happens. We want to, if we launch a new blockchain, it needs to be with a bang. So that's why we're speaking right now with Avalanche, if we can do something together so that we can promote the use cases on Avalanche, and we can really show, hey, if you want to build on Avalanche, this is how you do it. This is how you can use Moralis. Another one, which I'm very excited about, is ZK Sync. It is zero knowledge EVM layer 2 solution that is coming this month actually on testnet, and Moonbeam. Those three I think are very likely to come next. But the biggest opportunity besides building dapps and besides using Moralis for dapps is to build the plugins, guys. I'm telling you, if you have an idea for a plugin that you can build for Moralis, maybe you connect Moralis with some other service, and that plugin really takes off. That in itself is a huge business idea. Just look at all the WordPress plugins. Just look at all the Salesforce plugins. Building a very important plugin that is in demand is huge. So we hope to grow this whole business environment of different plugins launching and different plugins maybe even monetizing themselves. And we want people to build businesses, because Moralis is the platform where you can connect any blockchain to any blockchain, any API to any other API, and make it so that the developers can easily use it, that it's easily usable. Because Moralis is the platform where a lot of people have their core infrastructure in terms of, for example, the login, in terms of, for example, real-time alerts and stuff like that. And we provide the core functionality that is needed: fetching assets, fetching balances, fetching transactions, historical transactions, let's see, balances, transactions, and so on and so forth. I mean, all of these things we have, but like I said, our goal is to integrate the rest, to make it easy for everyone to use the rest, whether it's DeFi, whether it's something else. Maybe you have an idea for a plugin, so this is coming soon as well. So these are the key things I wanted to speak about in terms of new developments and in terms of the topics like data and pricing. Pricing, by the way, it's coming, I hope, next week, guys. You know, we do have the pricing plans already done, but they're not final. So we don't want to share them yet, but hopefully next week we can have some pricing. And the reason why many people ask us about it is because, look, we're so much focused on the actual building, on the actual technology. The last thing we were focusing on is to build out pricing. So that's why some people find it a bit strange, like, where is the Moralis pricing? How much do I pay? Look, for the longest time, we don't even know ourselves. But now we're finally crystallizing it. But look, since the early March, when we started the beta and allow people into the beta, we've only been focusing on tech, building. And there simply wasn't any time to do this whole pricing thing. But now it is definitely in tune with where we are, and the premium plans are coming, because premium plans are very important for many dapps. Many dapps, they don't want free, they actually want premium. So they have service level agreement, so they have support, so they have people they can call, so they have people they can reach out and fix it. So that's very important. But for most people, it is like this. For most people, it will always be free, because the free plan is ginormous. Yes, we will have a free plan, exactly. There will always be a massive free plan. At the end of the day, if the more people we can help with dapps, the better off we will be, the better off everyone will be. What's important now is to grow the DeFi cake and the crypto cake. Because if this industry does not grow, nobody is going to be successful. So our number one goal is to make it easy to build, make it fast, so that the mainstream use cases actually come true. Because without great tools like Moralis, there is going to be a long road to mainstream adoption. I always have this example that when you have primitive tools, you can build primitive things. So if you have like a stone hammer, what can you do with a stone hammer? You can build some kind of mud hat, okay? You can build mud hat. If you want to build something more complex, you need to have more complex tools that allow you that. So right, guys, let's go to the chat and let's take the questions from the chat now. Hey guys, are you planning to launch your own cryptocurrency? I think it would be huge. So we're not planning at the moment to do it. Could we do it in the future? Potentially yes in the future. But right now we're focusing on one thing and one thing only. And that's to make this as big as possible and as useful as possible. Because if this is not useful, there is no need for a coin. There is no need for this project if it's not useful. And we still have so much to do in order to make it as useful as we want. We already see huge adoption. We already have over 13,000 developers using it each and every day. So we know that it is useful already, but our plans are way higher. We're not even 1% of where we want this to be. So that's why we're not focusing on a coin right now, and maybe not in the near future. Let's see. But Exactly, SLA is important. So SLA is service level agreement. That's why I'm telling you, for 99% of people, Moralis will be free. But if you actually have an application and you have responsibilities to your users, let's say that you build some kind of app in finance. Let's say you build some kind of app in some other space where each minute of downtime is costing you money. You do want an SLA, service level agreement. This means that, for example, we as infrastructure provider, we at Moralis, we guarantee you certain things. So this is for premium customers with SLA. We guarantee certain things. For example, uptime. For example, disaster recovery. What happens if there is an outage in the database? How long can you expect to wait? What is the different conditions if something happens? How long can we what kind of data can we expect to bring back in case of some kind of disaster in the data centers? Stuff like that. So that's why if you are a bigger client, you don't want free. You never want free actually. You want SLA, you're happy to pay because that saves you a lot of time and a lot of headache. So yeah, previously we're speaking about free plans, paid plans, and let's do more in the chat. Can NFT market on Moralis scale? Of course, anything on Moralis can scale. It's all about the fact, do you have an app that is used? Because that's the biggest problem. Don't worry about scaling right now. Moralis can scale anything, but the biggest thing that people have to worry about is, will they actually be used? Because in many cases, if you get an idea, let's say that you get an idea, the first thing people think about, oh, will the infrastructure scale? And of course, Moralis will scale, but I know it by my own experience because I've always been having an idea and then I think, oh, how should I build it in the most scalable way? And then I read about how Netflix does their infrastructure. And I need to have microservices, I need to do this, Netflix is scaling like that. At this moment, I have 0 users, okay? So Moralis can scale anything, but focus first on getting the users. If you have the users, at that point, you know that your app actually is growing. And at that point, you can focus more energy on the scaling. But yeah, Moralis can scale anything. If you have an app that is growing a lot, perfect. We will definitely be able to handle it. But from an energy perspective, don't put too much energy on figuring out scaling before users are there. And that's something that I think too many developers do. Figuring out all the technicals with 0 users, and then trying to get the first user. And then the first user tells you, hey, I don't want this app. And then you figure out, man, the idea, we need to change it. So it's better to first verify that the idea is good, and then you figure out the tech. Make first an app that works, and you get the confirmation that people like it. And then you can build further, and you can scale it, and so on and so forth. So CryptoCoin we discussed, yes. Love Moralis, but I have one question. Is Moralis decentralized? And if not, does it have plans to be decentralized? So what Moralis is doing is that it's taking all of the things that are running right now on your server if you're building a dapp. For example, you have your database where you cache all transactions. It is already centralized. Or you connect to nodes. This is not on the blockchain anyway. Or you have your user database or user profiles. This is not on the blockchain anyway. Or you need to set up real-time alerts whenever something happens on chain. This is not on the blockchain anyway. So we take this and we make it so that you don't have to build it. And this is not on the blockchain anyway. And this doesn't have to be on the blockchain. What is on the blockchain are assets. What is on the blockchain is, for example, ownership. Ownership of different NFTs, of different documents, land, insurance, contracts, whatever. These things, they are on-chain. Trading, on-chain trading. This is all on-chain. But these things that are off-chain anyway, we make it easy to build. We make it easy to go to market very, very quickly. So this is how it should be. Because there is no way you can put nodes on chain. They're off chain by design. I mean, nodes are off chain. They are holding the blockchain. So they won't be on chain anyway. There is no way you can put your database on chain anyway. Why? Because in your database, you might have user information, like for example, their real names, their address. You may have a bunch of other data about the user. There is not just their Ethereum address. And can you make it all public? Of course not. There are many use cases where you need a database of users with off-chain data. So all of these different things, they're not meant to be on-chain. So when you're thinking about centralized, decentralized, focus on what actually needs to be decentralized. And what needs to be decentralized is, for example, the tokens, who owns which coin, who owns which cryptocurrency. That is always decentralized. Who owns which NFT, land, and so on and so forth. Trading, I mean, this one is good to keep on-chain, that you use the DEX to do it, and so on and so forth. And we are integrating with as many on-chain protocols as possible to make them easier to use. For example, with Aave, there's going to be a plugin with Aave, so you can just write Moralis.lend, and then you can lend assets via Aave. Or we're integrating, for example, with Vanish, like I said, and with all other DeFi protocols that are interesting. And it's not just that we're integrating, the community is integrating, because the community can write plugins, which is going to be exciting. Oh, Esteban, this is a good question. Let's go to experts. So many people have been asking about the Moralis experts also, because this is a new addition to our website. And this is where I think many dapps will truly feel the difference if you use Moralis versus if you don't use Moralis. Now, you know that we have the biggest programming academy about blockchain development, which is Ivan Tech Academy. So Ivan Tech Academy is right now merging into Moralis. It's going to be Moralis Academy very soon. And already right now we are preparing coursework, basically course contents, in order to take experienced developers, experienced blockchain developers, and make them Moralis developers. And this is a process which will take 4, 6, maybe 8 weeks to take an experienced developer, even if they're not from blockchain. I mean, our ambition is that we can take even developers that are not completely from blockchain, but they are good in web development, mobile development, and we can make them blockchain developers through Moralis. So in September, I think in September, we're gonna have our course ready. In September, let's see, September, what? Okay, like this. In September, course is ready. People can start taking it. We can start educating developers. And in December, which is 8 weeks after this, in December, we hope to offer the first experts. So this is basically a talent pool of great developers that know exactly how to build with Moralis, how to deploy it, how to maintain it. And this is going to be huge, because you know that the number one problem people have is indexing. The number one problem people have is hiring talent and ensuring that the talent knows what they're doing. I was looking in the chat about indexing networks. I'll come into that. We will have indexing networks. But the number of problem people have in crypto is hiring. When you start a project, good luck finding developers. It's very difficult. With Moralis, super simple. Because all the tools are very easy to use, because they are like Web 2 tools. They are like you being a web developer. It's so easy to build with Moralis. I mean, just look at this. Look at this. This is, anyone can use this. Anyone can use this. Why is this lagging? This tool has served me well under so many streams. But look at this. Anyone can use this. If you know some simple JavaScript, you can easily use this. And we will ensure that all DeFi protocols are like this, that you can use all DeFi protocols through Moralis in this fashion. So building on Moralis means that you can take any developer from anywhere and they are instantly a blockchain developer. So this is what's going to happen. But let's go back to the indexing, because I was thinking about it when I was speaking about experts. Any plans on integrating data indexing networks like the Graph or Unmarshal? Exactly. So the Graph and Unmarshal, it's plugins right here. And we hope to do it in September. For example, I know Unmarshal, they have great APIs. Obviously, the Graph is great with indexing all kinds of things. But the problem, if you want to use Unmarshal or you want to use the Graph right now, is that you have to run your own server, you have to integrate them, you have to somehow make a database in between where you make sense of all the APIs, you have to maintain them, and so on and so forth. With Moralis, everything is one line of code like this. So of course, we will integrate them 100%. If you build with Moralis, it will scale. Exactly. I like that quote, Phil. I like that quote. If you build it with Moralis, it will scale. Exactly. So experts, we've been discussing Angular and React. So there is a React library for Moralis, and we will already this week expand the team so that we have extra people that can maintain it, because I know some features of it are a bit outdated because we've been focusing on the core tech, and we've had the React library kind of like a side project. It was never our core focus, but soon we're gonna take it into our core focus, and then it's always gonna be updated with all the hooks and so on and so forth. What about integrating Moralis with your own infrastructure? Can I deploy Moralis on my own servers? So when it comes to using Moralis with your own infrastructure, it is this picture right here. The way it works is that you use the Web3 API. If you can use an API, you can use Moralis from your own server. So go to your Moralis dashboard and then check Web3 API, and you can see a lot of different things you can do there. So this is what we mean. And if you only use Moralis, then this is going to be way quicker, it's going to be way faster, and everything is already working together. Everything is plug and play. But we know that some people, they have their servers already, they have their tech stack already, and they just want to have a specific feature of Moralis. So then you can use an API that we have. You can access everything through API. Franco, I have Angular and React developers. I need them to be Moralis experts. Franco, this is amazing. So we will offer courses for that. And they're gonna be Moralis experts in 4 to 8 weeks. In 4 to 8 weeks, is the goal. More questions, guys. More questions. While we're waiting for questions, let me talk about the topic I discussed previously. I think this will clarify exactly what Moralis does for all of you who are a bit newer, maybe, to the Moralis project. By the way, let me know in the chat how long you've known Moralis for. Is it a week? Is it a month, several months? And also how you found it. That's, by the way, very interesting to see and very useful for us, how you found us. Was it through YouTube? Because we're pushing YouTube each and every day. Was it through Twitter? You heard about it? Is it word of mouth? What is it? So let me know in the comments. Let's see. Yeah. So let's talk about the different tech layers of Moralis. And this way you will understand blockchain technology, and this way you will also understand what the different features of Moralis do. So at the bottom, you have the nodes. So at the core, there is the nodes. RPC node. I see answers coming in, by the way. YouTube, nice. Yeah, see, then it's paying off that we're pushing so much YouTube. That's perfect. So at the bottom, you always have RPC node. It can be ETH. It can be Binance Chain, BSC. It can be Matic. So all blockchains at the core, they have the RPC nodes. And what many developers do is that they build their apps around the RPC nodes, which is a very, very bad choice. RPC nodes cannot give you a lot of information. For example, in order to figure out my balance, I have to ask the node. I need to do a request. Hey, what is my balance in this token? And then I have to do another request. Hey, what is my balance in this token? And then I have to do a third request. What is my balance in that token? So as you can see, I maybe have to do 1,000 requests to even show my profile page with all my assets and everything that I have. Instead of querying the node like this, because nodes are not meant for querying. They're meant to fetch the latest block. They're meant to look up specific transactions. They're meant to look up specific blocks. They're meant to maybe see what's happening in real time, although that's not good either, as I will soon show you. But so that's why we have the API on top, where we already pre-process a bunch of answers. We already pre-process a bunch of different things so that you don't have to ask the node 1,000 times just to get an answer to a simple question. So an example of this, if we go to Web3 API here, if I log into my Moralis, an example of this is given a user, give me all their NFTs. There is a lot of things that go into that simple question. Give me the user, based on this user, give me all their NFTs. So you know that first and foremost, you need to figure out how you will fetch all the NFTs. How do you do that? Because the blockchain does not know that. The blockchain can tell you if you own a specific NFT. If you ask for a specific address of an NFT, then the blockchain can tell you if you own it or not. But the blockchain cannot tell you, here are all the NFTs you own. It's not how it works. Instead, what you have to do is that you have to look up for a user address. If you are to speak directly to the node, you have to look at all their transactions, all their incoming NFT transactions. And then you have to figure out, they received these NFTs. Let me see if they still own them. Then for each NFT, I have to check what are the balance of the user in that NFT. Already we're maybe up in 200 requests. Then you have to figure out what is the metadata in the NFT. Okay, this is the metadata link. Let me call that link and get the actual metadata. Okay, perfect. Then I have to call the image. I have to download the image. So we're easily up to 1,000 requests just to get all the NFTs of a user and their metadata. Just as an example, if you speak directly to the node, so you should not be speaking directly to the node. Instead, if you ask API, Moralis API, you get that in one request. And that's it. You have very simple logic. Just ask the API, you get it back. Now, API, you have to access it through your own server. So here's where I say that if you have your own infrastructure already, you have your own server, let's say you have your own server here, then you can speak to the API and you can integrate Moralis into your own infrastructure. But the silver bullet of Moralis, really what makes Moralis so easy to use, is the layer on top of the API. This is the Moralis server. This is where instead of using your own server, you use Moralis server. Because Moralis server is already integrated with the API, is already integrated with the nodes, so that when a user logs in and you use Moralis server, instantly you have all of their assets, all of their transactions, past transactions, all of their historic NFTs, current NFTs. As soon as they do something on chain, Moralis server will tell you instantly. So it's already plug and play. It's already plug and play. If you use your own server and you just use the API, you have to still figure out, okay, how do you do real-time communication? How do you do real-time alerts? How do you do this and that? It's still a lot of work you have to do. And if you use just the nodes, man, I don't know what you're doing. And still we see a lot of people, just using the nodes. But it's totally wrong way of building dapps. But it's just, we're so early on in the blockchain space, we're so early on in the blockchain journey that most people, they're on the basic tech. It's kind of like the early computer programmers, they programmed on the CPU. They actually programmed on the CPU. And if you want to do something on the CPU, you have to give it 1,000 commands just to do some simple calculation. Kind of like if you want to achieve something on the blockchain and you speak to the node, you have to do 1,000 requests. So speaking to the node is kind of like programming on the CPU. Using the API, it's a bit more abstract. You can achieve things faster, but still you need to have your own infrastructure. You have to run your own server. And then using Moralis is kind of like using Windows or using Apple. You know, it's like using the operating system on top. So this is the difference between the nodes, the API, and the server. Hey, Jason Wu, what's up? Jason Wu coming to Stockholm on 20. Nice. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Good to see you here. So, but you're not a developer, right? But of course, exactly like bare metal, Franco. But of course, I know Jason Wu from the YouTube. But good to see you, man. Good to see you. Are there some plans to make Unity integration? Yes. So first and foremost, there is already a Unity integration, but it's not done by us. It's not done by us. Let me see if I can find it, because there is actually a Unity game done with Moralis. It's called Pokemon World. Look here. I don't know if this app even works now, but because it was an app for the hackathon, and I'm not sure if they still. So see, this is Unity, and it is built with Moralis through. Is it C# or I think he used JavaScript somehow. He got JavaScript somehow into Unity. Let's see if I can run it. Anyway, it's a bit slow, so I don't want to waste time. It's still loading, but the simple answer is yes, it's possible to get Moralis into Unity. I think the way that the guy did it in this case was that he used the JavaScript. I will see if it loads here in the background, but I think the way he used it is that he used JavaScript, but we do have a C# client. It's not very well supported at the moment, but we do have C# client. It's not super supported, but yes, I mean, of course, we plan to do it. It's huge. I mean, gaming is huge. We think NFTs are huge. So we have all intention of doing that. But this is one of the things that if you want, you can build yourself also, because this is open source. I think we have it on our GitHub. So if you want to integrate Moralis into Unity, you could actually do it. But we're gonna also do it. If nobody else does it, we will do it ourselves soon as well. So that's definitely important, and that's coming, yeah. So I hope, guys, you know that now the difference between the nodes, which is at the base layer, then you have the API, then you have the servers, and then we have the alerts. So alerts, I would say it's not done yet, but it will be done soon. So alerts is kind of like, it's on the API level, you have to have your own server, but here we're gonna add alerts so that you can specify a specific blockchain event. For example, whenever Tether mints a new, let's see, some thing from YouTube. The stream works. The stream should work. 1 second. Yeah, it still works. But so the way you're listening to the blockchain today, you can do it in Moralis server. So you can set up a specific real-time alert for a specific event on the blockchain, whether it is that Tether mints new coins or some event in particular smart contract fires. You can already now watch it and get real-time alerts in Moralis server. But we also have many people that ask us, hey, I want the alerts, but I want it to my own server. I want it to my own infrastructure. So this is what we're doing now with alerts, that if you have your own server or webhook or Telegram channel or whatever, that you can still set up alerts, but it already works with Moralis server. So yeah. And if you have any ideas what we can call Moralis server, let us know, because on one hand, I do like the Moralis server because it is a server. On the other hand, it would be nice to call it something that is more 2021, okay? when I say Moralis server, sometimes I'm thinking some kind of Microsoft server. Is it Microsoft server, like SQL server or something? You know, maybe we should call it something else. But at the same time, calling things differently than what they are also has some drawbacks. You know, Web3 API previously was called Deep Index API because we thought, okay, but it's indexing, so maybe we should call it Deep Index, but people didn't get it. So we changed it to Web3 API. Web3 alerts, they were called atomic alerts, like atomic real time before, but we thought, hey, let's make it simple. So Web3 alerts they're called now. Speedy nodes, we could call them like RPC nodes in order to use the technical term, but speedy nodes we feel that people understand well enough. And servers, I mean, this one I'm a bit 50-50 on, whether people like that it's called servers. Maybe it should be like Moralis core, exactly, Joel. Maybe it should be Moralis core. I mean, on one hand, I like that it really says that, okay, it's a server. But on the other hand, people think that it's, you know, they have to do RAM configuration, like they're starting a server, you know, some kind of gaming server. I don't know. There are so many things that are called server. Moralis portal, yeah, maybe. Moralis mainframe, exactly, mainframe. Unity, oh yeah, so Unity does support JavaScript. That's right, they support JavaScript and C#. But look, I'm not a Unity expert. Can you use any library in Unity? Because if you can, then you can use Moralis. I mean, what is the problem? Moralis is a JavaScript library. So if you can do just npm install Moralis, then you can, of course, use it already then. Is Moralis central? Well, we discussed the centralization question previously, but to summarize it, where is it? I mean, in a dapp, you have two parts. You have the parts that are on-chain, the cryptos, the tokens, the ownership, the NFTs. You have the part that is off-chain, which is off-chain in all apps. For example, the node. Where is your node? Are you using Infura or who are you using? It is off-chain by design. I mean, there's no way to put the node on-chain. Real-time alerts will always be off-chain because that's by definition. You're watching something that is happening on-chain and you need to get it into your server, into your email, into your app notification. So everything is fully decentralized. You're building on Moralis, everything is fully decentralized. And all of these things that are off-chain anyway, you get it already served on a silver plate where you don't have to build it. You don't have to build, because at the end of the day, what matters is the assets, the ownership, the cryptos. That's what's important. And then, you know, the nodes, the real-time alert system, you can build it yourself, but it just will take 8 months. So there's no need to build it. And the problem when everyone is building and reinventing the wheel is that the industry stands still. It doesn't move. Imagine each and every time you want to write some kind of poem, or not poem, but some kind of book, you have to build your own typewriter. Where would society be? Each time you want to have food, you have to build your own tractor to get the food from the ground. Obviously, society will never work like that. So all of these tools that are repeatable, that everyone is using anyway and rebuilding on their own, and it's still off-chain, that's what Moralis is. That's what Moralis is, exactly. Moralis is a terminator. Will there be cron jobs? It is already a cron job in Moralis server. It is called jobs. So you can use it already. So you go to Moralis here. In the Moralis, you go to, in the server, in the documentation. Let me, by the way, show you here. You can go to Cloud Code. And here you have jobs. So here you can define the job. You can schedule job. Yeah. So it is here already. Can we use Moralis? Yes. So Moralis is coming to iOS, hopefully this year. Right now, there is no perfect way to do it, but it's coming this year. We want to have a nice iOS SDK this year because it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Kind of cloud functions like on Google Cloud or... So this is exactly what it is, cloud functions. If you want to put a small piece of code on the backend like this, you have some kind of database query, you want to calculate something, you can put it very easily. It is kind of like Lambda, AWS Lambda. But the difference here is that within a Moralis cloud function, you can access the blockchain. You can access your user balances. You can access what happens on the blockchain right now. So that's basically taking AWS Lambda and adding blockchain to it. That's Moralis cloud function. What about Python? So Python, I don't think we'll have some kind of native Python Moralis SDK, but for all Moralis API endpoints here, you can generate already in Python. If you're using the API layer, I mean, if you're working on this layer on the API, let's say you have your own server, you have your own infrastructure, and you want to use Moralis API only. I mean, here you have endless. You can use C#, Dart, Python, TypeScript with Angular or Fetch. So that you can use already. But when it comes to Moralis SDK, I don't think it makes sense to build it in Python because not many user-facing applications are in Python, if you know what I mean. Maybe in Flask. Is Flask something that... Yeah, potentially maybe because of Flask, which is Python for mobile, right? Let me double check it. Python Flask. Moralis SDK are for all the different times where you need to build something user-facing. So Flask, or it's not... What is this thing with Python and mobile? Micro framework. Okay, it's not that one. Python mobile development. What is it called? Anyway. I'm almost 100% sure there is something with mobile, right? On Python, you can build mobile app. But yeah, it's not Flask. It's something else. Is Moralis Cloud Function is like having your own smart contract but serverless? So no, it's not a smart contract. Moralis Cloud Function is you having a piece of your server code without having a server. You can, for example, a cloud function, you can say, whenever something happens on chain, send me an email. That would be a perfect example of a cloud function. You can say, whenever something happens on chain and it's one of my users and the transaction is bigger than 10 ETH, do this, whatever it is. Maybe do alert, do something, show something in my website. So that is a cloud function. Basically scripting events that are happening on chain. Oh, Kiwi, yeah, Kiwi, exactly. Maybe it's Kiwi, Python mobile Probably it's Kiwi, yeah. So to summarize, the API is possible to download the client in Python already from the Web3 API dashboard already. But the SDK for the server, that one is in JavaScript right now because it's mainly web. And next we're gonna do iOS and I think C# because of Unity. But we have to see if we even have to do C# or if JavaScript is enough, because Unity is also JavaScript. Exactly. So if it's enough, so then we don't have to do it, yeah. We can just use JavaScript. Yeah, exactly like a script. Oh, no, wait. Flutter. I was thinking about Flutter when, wait, let me see. Is Flutter something with mobile? Because I think that is what I was thinking. Flutter. Yes. But is it Python even? Sorry guys, I mean these things we learn together. Is Python? Yeah, sorry, this is what I was thinking. Google Flutter, probably that's what. Flutter login app with Python backend is an open source. I think I was thinking of Flutter exactly. Is Google's SDK for crafting experience for mobile and desktop? Is it in Python or no? Flutter is mobile. Okay, anyway, guys. When it comes to Python, if it makes sense that people build apps in Python, like in, but do you use Python to build Flutter apps or not? If there is something that where you use Python for hybrid, no, Dart. Okay, we will check it out. Look, the simple answer on that question is whenever there is UI, Moralis SDK has to be there. Whenever there is UI development, Moralis SDK has to be there. But yeah, here I'm checking out Flutter. Let's look at it together. Made by Google, nice. Yeah, this is not Python. This is Dart, yeah. All right. Is it only Android or iOS also? I think you guys said it's cross-chain. Make faster apps. Nice. See, this happened after I went into blockchain. Before blockchain, when I was a dev, the last innovation in mobile was React Native. Flutter was after I left for blockchain development. Flutter, Wikipedia. When did it come out? Flutter software. Yeah, see, man, it's too late. I mean, at this time I was all in crypto already, so that's why I'm not your Flutter expert. React Native, though, I was one of the first people that built on it, on React Native. But Flutter, that was when I was all in Solidity already. Does Moralis Web API provide candlestick chart price info? So, with, for example, candlesticks, we will integrate with exchanges and price providers because there is more, high, low, and the current price. When it comes to on-chain price data, which is not candlesticks, but still it's related to price, we do have on-chain price data because this one we can do by looking at the, here, we can get the token price by looking at the liquidity pools. This is not candlestick what you asked for, but if you want the DEX price of any token that is trading on Uniswap or PancakeSwap or QuickSwap, you can use this. But when it comes to candlesticks, we would rather have a plugin for that because we're not here to build the best candlestick library. It's just better that we have a plugin. Let's say maybe it's CoinGecko or maybe it is CoinMarketCap, and then you just write moralis.coingecko.candlesticks. That would be perfect. Should be hybrid both iOS. Perfect. Windows Web 3 is no longer supported. How else can I go about logging in users on my website? I use Moralis. Gareth, it's best to create a forum question. We can answer all of this in the forum. Just go here and create a question. As you can see, we have Dmitry here answering as much as possible. If you have some problems using the login function, but in login function, you don't have to worry about window or Web3. You just write Moralis.authenticate and that's it. What else, guys? What else should we discuss before we wrap this up? Time flies. Always in this always in these times, it's a lot to discuss, and time flies, Guys, that being said, thanks a lot for being here on the stream. Thanks a lot for watching it and coming with your questions and coming with your comments as well. Any way to get creator address of NFT wallet owner of... the best way is to ask the node, I would say. The best way is to ask the node. But also ask in the forum. It's better to ask in the forum, yeah. Guys, have a good day. Enjoy your day. Smash the like. See you all next Wednesday. Same time. Have a good day and goodbye, guys. Goodbye.